Hi everyone! In this video, we will solve higher order equations by factoring. Solve 7x to the 6th equals 175x to the 4th. It might be tempting to divide by a variable here to get rid of it, except that in doing so, it will get rid of some of the answers. But we can divide numbers. It is a personal preference, and you can do it this way or you can do it the second way that I'll show. The first way is that we could go ahead and get rid of the 7 on the left side by dividing both sides by 7. This then gives us x to the 6th equals 175 divided by 7 is 25, and x to the 4th. Some people will choose to simply subtract the 175x to the 4th so that all the terms are on the left side, and that's okay as well. So we would have 7x to the 6th minus 175 x to the 4th equals 0. This works equally as well. I tend to divide the numbers, which does not get rid of any of the answers, just because I like smaller numbers. And now we will subtract the 25x to the 4th term from both sides, 25x to the 4th, leaving us with x to the 6th minus 25x to the 4th. And on the right side, these cancel out, which leaves us 0. On the right-hand equation, if you end up subtracting the 175, we would then factor out the greatest common factor, which is 7x to the 4th, leaving us with x squared minus 25, and this equals 0. On the left-hand side, we can factor out the greatest common factor, which is x to the 4th, leaving us with x squared minus 25 equals 0. Both of these are now to the point that we can use the zero product property, where I have two terms or multiple terms multiplied together and they equal 0. So we can break them into two equations and set them both equal to 0 with the zero product property. On the left, we end up with x to the 4th equals 0, and x squared minus 25 equals 0. On this one, we have 7x to the 4th equals 0, and x minus 25 equals 0. On the left equations, x to the 4th equals 0, we'll take a fourth root to negate our exponent of the 4th. So we end up with x equals, and the fourth root of 0 is just 0. So that's one answer. On the second equation, we will need to add 25 to both sides. And we end up with x squared equals a positive 25. And to negate the square, we will square root the x squared. And that leaves us with just x. But we must also square root the right side. And whenever we square root a number, we get the positive and negative answers. The square root of 25 is 5, so we get a positive and negative 5 for the answers here. On the equations to the right, where we have 7 times x to the 4th, we will divide by 7 here. And you'll note that that is exactly what we did at the first step here. So we'll still end up dividing by 7 at some point. The 7's cancel, and we get x to the 4th equals 0 divided by 7 is 0. And then we will need to fourth root both of these sides to negate the exponent to the 4th. And then we're left with x equals the fourth root of 0 is 0. Then we end up on the right equation where we need to add 25 to both sides to isolate the variable. And we end up with x squared equals positive 25. Then to negate the square, we're going to square root both the sides of the equation. Square rooting a square cancels, so on the left side we are left with just x. And whenever we square root a number, we end up with two answers, positive and negative. The square root of 25 is 5, so we have positive and negative 5 as the answers. You'll see that we end up with the same answers no matter which way we start the equation. I just prefer the left side just because I like smaller numbers. Those who want to go ahead and use the right side, it also works just as well You just divide by the greatest common factor of 7 a little later in the game. Either way, we're going to list all of our answers from low to high. So x equals -5, comma 0, comma +5, and now we're all done.